Um, after so after of regarding to Miss Grant, so Miss Grant says WWE board news exit exit Parliament and advisor without her constant saying standing hope. Sony Miss Grant is putting WWE back in 2022. Vince McMahon allegations back on your set. Massive couple in this time she is not talking about a vegan. I mean it was a competent pop pop a problem. And she says a graphic advice informing her was passed around at Summer's eyes, and it wasn't Amy Reed to WWE board members without her to wasn't Noah's open caution. Sonic Miss Gwen and posted in this update on her Instagram page. So yes it was an actor going through a public and yes it was a document. So yes it was um demonics from a shareholder. She said she honestly believed she was going to take a part in WWE and personally announced about allegations, but and that never happened. Instead, she says she spent serious money getting ready for an allegations that it took close without anyone ever speaking to her. Now it was back in 2022. I believe in good faith in that I was person in a company person announced about allegations. I spent 6 figures on retrainers and medical care. Wasn't I involved in a medical team? We spent months of time preparing for an allegations that has closed without speaking to me. So I wasn't then came the part of Ms. Grant says she did not know at the time she claims she long informed a public and this was the arguments that is personally mental if I recall was produced to WWE special. So I was a comment doing that the same allegations. I learned some things about my past that I didn't know about before a while. I've been reading in public and was a documents from a shareholder case. I just saw Ms. Clint Brain said the advisor was not just some dry legal points. She said it included graphic photos and it actually things that just so her in was affordable or impossibly stressing, and she says nobody asked her the poem missing before listening it. I did without my notice and without my constant spoken graphic and advice was produced to a special comment as a part of this allegations. in these photos and exchange to describe it wasn't departed me in some follow I wasn't followable in all a positive way. And so Ms. Green also pointed out also the way the measure was described in documents into the rules. See listed with below. And the analysis of this device has a deposit in documents including seasonal, very graphic, and it follows something that looks more like seasonal in blues, tracking, and follows it in, and that was not the end of it, Ms. Grant said. And the segment was a few turned into graphic and summarized and read out to people tied to WWE board, including them iconic board members on Opal. So I was an Opal investment and fossil board members. I am without my noise and without my constant, and this device was produced with you. Also, I also did to in a graphic analysis and read out to them iconic members of the board of directors, including some in passive of Opal investment and fossil board members. And so Ms. Grant said she only learned about all of this now, and she made it clear that nothing mere her stories really told about WWE allegations was happening. I didn't know any of this until now. Nobody told me, nobody told my authorities. Ms. Grant, a lawsuit against Vince McMahon and WWE includes allegations of sexual sex tracking and abuse. Yet Vince McMahon has denied such allegations, and Ms. Grant is now calling out how WWE own allegations, according to him, was hindered Spotify's informing her who saw it, who heard about it, and read those copies of some size, and maybe now. So, what do you think about St. Ms. Grant saying WWE board news a graphic and files without her constant? So you can drop your thoughts into the comments and let us know where you stand. So, at the same time, St. Ms. Grant, the part in this announced was a bruising tracking of Vince McMahon was back in 2022. As it was constant, it was revealed on members of Vince McMahon has denied. Yes, it was the Queen to be to the past for almost, and he was a lawsuit, sexual tracking, abuse, and St. Ms. Grant to announce this. It was happening soon. So, when I do horror analysis of this story about Vince McMahon. So we like this video, and don't forget just like and subscribe on my YouTube page. And until next time, peace.